Welcome back to another video. We're here with Bailey the Fox, and man, we had a hectic last few months. And now that we got her dialed in, basically the plan now is to wait for Black Friday to be able to get our 5-leg conversion with maybe a set of wheels. Gloss black preferably, but you know, I'm open to silver. But before we get into the rest of the video, man, I just want to say thanks so much for tuning in. You guys brought me from 40 subs last year to where we are now. So shouts out to every single one of y'all. Thank y'all for liking up the video. We also finally got AC in the car. We replaced the compressor. And we've been running AC for the last few weeks. So you can see, brand new compressor. And man, it's come in handy so much, dude. It's been real hot lately. Also, my hood pins did come off and I had to reinstall them, but they're good now. They're not going anywhere. Pretty stiff. I always check them like this just to make sure that they're not loose. That's kind of my way of checking, because I do like speeding in this car. So yeah, I've been pretty scared. To just drive this car around with no hood pins. I was staying under like 55 miles per hour, but now we're good. I want to say the top speed I've hit in this car is like 95, 100 maybe. I haven't really pushed the car too much. And I'm also missing a sound system, so the goal is to get that sound system, those wheels, and then hopefully if you guys want to see it, get my girl in the car and then we'll vlog it. We'll show her driving it. We'll show her stalling it if she stalls, the whole 9. Come here, little dude. Come on, let's go. She likes to get in the car. She thinks we're going somewhere, so I like to fool her. Hop in, buddy. You're a passenger princess. And yeah, man, I just finished up a whole album, so hopefully that'll be coming out pretty soon. But today what we're gonna focus on is mainly going over the car, reviewing how much I've spent and what it's cost me to own this car. First, we're gonna get a cold start. Bro's gonna record it from the back. Give me a second. Oh,
That's a big ass bug. God damn.
that's what it sounded like right now. I low-key want to make it louder, but it might be too loud. Might be too loud already. And yes, we do have AC now. Boom. This is what it's like, man. This is what it's like to drive in daily a Fox. I mean, you kind of have to just adjust to the transmission, because this transmission, you can't really you can't power shift too hard on the cold start. You can't engage into first without jumping into second. Can't engage into reverse without jumping into fifth, at least not smoothly. But aside from that, I mean, daily use, it's not that bad. Definitely one thing that I want to change about the car is how loud it is in here. I don't have very much like deadener or insulation in the trunk, so I can pretty much pick up all the road noise off of me just like regular driving the car. So I think along with wheels and along with that 5-lug swap, I'm trying to get some more deadener, something to really quiet up the cabin, because this is not that fun. I'm just not in a rush for that, because it's just not something I need, you know? Like when you have an old classic like this, there's not very much you can do to the exterior other than like a front lip and maybe like an additional side skirt. Wheels is what's gonna really like brighten up your car, because other than that, you're pretty much just stuck with the chassis or the body that you got. I know some people like to do the front end conversions. Some people like to get LX models and turn them into GTs. I don't feel like that's within everybody's budget, mainly because those body panels are definitely not easy to wrap. So you couldn't just pick up, you know, an LX, get some GT parts and then try to wrap it, because it's not going to be easy. It's not like the new Edge. It's a little bit harder. And I tend to stick to wrap because paint is so expensive most of the time. And it's just gonna, you can't even do it yourself. I mean, you can get some rattle cans and thug it out. I think that would be just as fun. But it's not gonna be easy nonetheless. Another thing I had to do, which I don't know if I showed it in the last video, but I had adjusted my front suspension to like 6 clicks and the rear to 3. Well, I boosted it up to 5 in the rear because Bree rode in the back the other day, and the whole time that we went there and came back home, she was complaining about it being too bouncy in the back. So we're hopefully fixing it by adjusting those clicks. I can't think of anything else it might be other than tires. Maybe I need the bigger wheels with the, you know, less tall tires, because I guess they're bouncing too much. I have no idea. But yeah, let's get going. We're currently on an incline and I have it in reverse. I don't know why my brake doesn't engage all the way. And let me show you what I mean by that. I have it on, I'm pressing the brake all the way. Actually, I'm not gonna do it just so y'all can see. I'm gonna push the clutch in. It starts rolling. You saw that? So I need to hold the brake when I press the clutch in. It sucks. I still have the clutch in and my brake in there too. Take this off and then slowly, well not slowly, fast. Gotta get this shit gas. There you go. It's a little bit more stiff. I feel it's a little bit more stiff, but it does feel better than before. It was just slapping like in the rear. I had it too soft, I guess. So every time I would put weight on it, it would bounce a lot, you know? Like, and that includes people in the back seat. But let's see how good our suspension is right here. They call me Fox. No, Squeeze Fox. Like Squeeze Benz. No, I'm just kidding. I can't do it. Smooth or what? Whoa. This is real, alright? Like we're really having to deal with Houston roads being so terrible and the ride being so bumpy. This has nothing to do with how stiff my shit is. It's just the roads are this bad here. So definitely keep that into consideration. Now the first thing we're gonna talk about, because the first thing I had to deal with was loose bolts. From the moment I got the car, on my drive home, I was probably hitting like, sorry if I sound funny, I'm about to, but I was probably hitting like 60, 70 miles per hour. While I was doing that, I would feel my rear end kind of kick out a little bit. Kind of like it wanted to slip. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? That's weird. You know, something's clearly loose. I didn't know what it was because I pulled over and I kicked the tire to see if it was my wheels. They didn't feel loose. It's weird, right? So like, I make it home, 4-hour drive. Turns out my fucking wheel was loose. When I got home, I reached for the lug and it was literally like hand loose. So that was the first thing that was loose. And then as soon as I got home, I also noticed that the EGR valve was starting to throw up smoke. So I went ahead and ordered that and replaced it like a few days later. But also with that was a leak. And there was so many leaks, I couldn't tell where they were coming from. So I had to tackle them all one by one. Initially, the first one, whoa, that was steep as fuck. Initially, the first one that we did was the power steering because that one was the most obvious. And what had happened with that one was it was leaking from a hose, but we couldn't tell. Initially, we were just like, where is it coming from? We thought it was coming from the arm because we seen it leaking towards the arm. And then we saw it towards the rack and pinion, so we thought it was the rack and pinion. Couldn't find a leak there. I was at a car meet. Obviously, the level was getting low, so I had power steering fluid with me already. And I saw the leak coming from that clamp on the hose. So from that clamp, I ended up just tightening it up, and it was good after that. So a lot of stuff was loose. After that, I heard some clanking noise on my rear end. I couldn't tell for the longest. I couldn't tell what it was because it would come and go, and it was so inconsistent that I knew it was something small. Because it was just inconsistent with how I was driving, the speed I was at. Nothing paired up with where that sound was coming from. Come to find out, it was a brake line, the one that is right next to my control arm on the rear side, on both sides, and one of them was loose. It had a zip tie that was holding it to the arm so that it wouldn't hit the wheel for clearance. I guess the zip tie had snapped. So it was just smacking the wheel like really loud, and they're brand new lines. So it sounded like metal hitting metal the whole time. It was just the braided lines that were brand new. So thankfully I figured it out. Come to find out within that process, my gas tank harness was loose. You know, the whole like bra thing that holds it. It literally was coming up like loose. So I had to tighten that up. My exhaust pipe was also loose. We thought it was that too. We're like, what could... We were over here banging shit. We're like trying to see what it is. So we found a lot of stuff that was loose within just trying to find the braided line that kept smacking the wheels. So that got taken care of as well. And it takes time, guys, because you have to drive the car. If you're not driving the car, you're never going to find a leak. You're never going to know what's about to break. And it's going to break on you unexpectedly. So I was purposefully driving the car every day. I think like that within that week, I swear to God, I put like 3,000 miles on this car. 3,000 miles, maybe like 25 really. But I literally was driving like 120 miles back and forth. probably more, probably like 140 miles a day. And there was one day when I had to go, and if y'all know, y'all from Houston, y'all know Houston spans an hour from itself. So you could be on the south side, and to get to the north side is a whole hour. So I was literally going from the south side to the north side to the west side, back to the south side. So that's 1 hour to the north side, 1 hour to the west side, 1 hour back home. So that was 3 hours of driving, and in total I probably put almost 200 miles on the car just in one day. And that's because I kept on going to my friend's house. We were wrapping my boy's new edge, and I was also trying to figure out the leaks, because there was also a vacuum leak, and I could never find the vacuum leak because it wasn't obvious. It was the pigtail. The pigtail was actually broken from the clip that attaches it, and the whole time it just kept disconnecting and connecting, disconnecting and connecting random times. So I'm over here trying to adjust my timing. My distributor was loose, so we had to tighten that up anyways. Adjusted my timing, replaced my TPS, my EGR because it was smoking, my IAC because we didn't know if it was good or bad. And as we're doing that, we find out that there's an oil leak coming from the oil filter. So we checked the oil filter. Dude, it was hand loose. All we did was do this, and it was moving, and we're like, no way. So we closed it up. Turns out I leaked like almost 2 quarts, which if you guys don't know, this motor takes 5. So almost half of my oil was missing. I think the previous owner just wasn't driving it, I'm being honest. Because there was a lot of little things that were like, dude, come on, like, who doesn't check these things? But it's okay, we got it done. We took care of it. The oil in the engine with new oil as well. My oil dipstick bracket came loose, and we had to replace the bolt that holds it. You can see that one's brand new. We decided to stick with the old dipstick because it has a marking from the previous owner of where he would check the oil. So as you can see, that marking right there, because these are inaccurate. So what you want to do when you do replace your oil, if you don't already have a marking in your dipstick, is you want to change the oil, check your dipstick, and mark it where it's at when you recently replaced it. Don't try to check it once it's been like 1,000 miles, 500. Check it right away and mark it, so that way you know if it's not here, it's too low. Because everybody in the forums is telling me this, that they're inaccurate. So the best way to check is that way. So whenever you buy a car, make sure if you buy the Foxbody, any Foxbody, do your oil change like this, and make sure you mark that dipstick. The second thing we found while we were doing all that was the radiator itself had corrosion on it. Not this one, but the previous one we had. I think it was like fluidine or something like that. So that radiator was starting to build corrosion, which was weird because it looked cleaned up. So I checked it. Turns out it's leaking from like somewhere in the welds, and it's like drooping from the bottom. I mean, from the top to the bottom. So that's where the corrosion started to build up. We had to order that. And later, from us just tampering with the whole car, we're thinking that the motor's done. We're like, dude, you're gonna have to. My boys are like, dude, you're gonna have to get new heads. Hey, if you build it, you got to do this, you got to do that. I'm like, I'm looking at the bill, it's adding up to 4K, and I'm like 13K into this car. I'm like, no fucking way. Turns out, dude's messing with the car, and he does this. Boom, and the car starts running fine. All he did was just tap it like this. Literally just did this. Car starts running, and he's like, bro, check this out. We all run over to check. It was just the pigtail. So we replaced the pigtail with the radiator, with the oil, with the bracket for the dipstick, with the IAC, with the EGR, with the TBS, and adjusted timing. Later in that week, I found out my AC stopped working as strong. Stopped at a gas station, lifted my hood just to check it. Had a big old leak, just like this, a whole stripe like that. That looks like Freon or oil. I have no idea what it is, but one of the two was leaking from my compressor, and it was just shooting it up into the top of the hood. So I replaced the AC compressor, so that's brand new. And while we're on the AC topic, I almost forgot to mention, my AC drain hose didn't have a traditional hose there. So all I did was I added that little rubber hose right there, and I just plugged it in. You see it leaking water from the AC, from the condensation. So we replaced that. I almost skipped over that. That was like the first thing I did when I got back to Houston, because I noticed it was leaking through the wall and into my carpet. So if you guys do not know, this is where it's leaking from. Right under here, right there. And so it was just falling all into my carpet, making everything in here wet. So I was like, what the fuck? Found the issue and the culprit, replaced that drain hose with a new hose that would leak it out into the outside and not the inside of the cabin. And then after all that, after we finally got it done, the worst thing happens. My fucking brakes stopped working. I was on my way home. I was literally down the street though, so that's a good thing. And I go to brake on my exit, and I'm like, damn, it's very loose. That's weird. And I'm scared as hell. I'm like, holy shit, it's not braking. I'm like halfway to the stop sign, and I had to start pumping it, and then it started to slow down. But I got scared. I was like, holy shit, I might have to run this stop sign. And I was able to stop, got home. Turns out I had a leak right above my differential. Above the differential, there's a brake line. Maybe not for every Fox, because mine is like originally a 4-cylinder, so maybe it might just be the way they built mine, where they placed the lines. But it's right above the differential, and that whole bracket on top was loose. Not the bracket, but the actual brake line itself, where it tightens up, was loose. And it was leaking all my brake fluid through there, making my master cylinder pump air into itself and then just stop working initially. So that's what caused my brakes to stop working. Replaced the master cylinder, which I wasn't too worried about because it was rusted up and it had a lot of corrosion on the last one. And my brakes are back to normal. They're good. So that's been the ride so far. Let me do the math. It should be somewhere on the screen right now. That's what I had to pay. If I had to say what you should have on top of your vehicle's purchase on the Fox, anywhere from $1,000 to like $1,500, just because you don't know what's gonna happen. But most of the stuff is cheap. The biggest issue is finding somebody that knows how to work on a 5.0, because these cars are a little bit tedious, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna take forever finding the problem. And the last thing you want to do is order a bunch of parts and not even know what the issue is. So definitely keep yourself an extra $1,000 minimum, and just take it slow. Just drive it every day. Try to see what comes up. Make sure that anything that you find, you're taking note of, so that way you can accumulate a portfolio of what you've seen happen and when, and that'll let you know over the course of the next few days that you're driving what the issue is or what the culprit may be. Still need to do a couple tests to make sure that you're correct, but like I said, that's where the experts that have had plenty of experience with these cars come in. And you know, I just got to shout out my boy Lance. He looked out definitely a lot. My girl's dad, he's a mechanic himself. He helped out a lot. So it's a learning process, you know. It's my first time with a 5.0, but it hasn't been too hard. It's just been real tedious, if I'm being honest. And if you don't have the time for it, you're gonna want to make some time for it, because it's gonna take some. So now what I want to go ahead and do for you guys is I want to show y'all what the car sounds like, how it's running, and we're gonna get some drive-by clips. Hopefully we're not losing the sun too fast. Let me clip this up before it's too late. So I'm gonna leave the mic right here so you guys can hear the exhaust. Let me go turn it off. Hopefully you don't hear too much rattle from the license plate, but you know, we'll see in post-production. Guys hear here. Sounds pretty good. Let me know what you guys think. Let's throw up like 80 likes, bro. If y'all get 80 likes on this video, we'll get Bree to drive the car. Let's see how she looks in it. Sheesh. How does she look, boys? Rev it. Hey. One more time. It's a lot louder when you really get on it. All right, let's get those clips. We're gonna do one clip. We're gonna do one of me just, you know, peeling off right now, just taking off. And then we're gonna do one in a corner so y'all can see what the Foxbody looks like when we're hitting the corner. Guys, that's gonna be enough fun for today. I think we should call it quits while we're still in Mexico, because I don't want to make Mexico people mad. We came to Mexico to shoot this. But thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys clicking on the video. Make sure to comment your favorite part. Let us know, man, if y'all want to see Bree driving this car next video. Make sure to comment and like. Get us up to like 80 likes, 85 likes, and we'll do it. We'll think about it, right? Bree wants to do it. Y'all let us know, man. Tune in. We're gonna have some new music coming out, new guests coming on the vlog soon. So we'll see you guys there.
Stay true when I pull up in that blue space cool. Drop it off at valet, who was with you? Running into your nigga, that's an issue.